Hi everyone, welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast and video clip. Very happy that you're here with me today, and I want to give you a few motivational tips because this is the start of a new year and some of you are counting. So this day will be very important for those of you who see it as a reset or another chance to get what you want. Personally speaking, I don't do that. I welcome every day as a new day. And in that day, I know there's going to be blessings and new opportunities. Anyway, when it comes to direction and getting started in English, many of us just don't really know what we want. And I want to explain a bit more about that. So basically, when you get a gift at Christmas time or at New Year, whenever, you can ask, you can say to your parents, oh, could you buy me this book because I want it? They might ask you, what do you want? And you can say, oh, a new phone, please, a new book, this particular thing. But because learning English is a mental process, we don't really know what we want. So we start to look for things on the outside. We start to look for particular books that we think might feed our minds. Or we start to look for things which we think we need. Part of the problem is, well, we just don't know. So we can't even tell someone, oh, I'm learning English. Can you buy me a dictionary? Because we don't know if it will help. In order to overcome this, you need to set some very basic goals. Now, in the physical world, when you go about your daily life, there are some very basic things which give you direction. That might be a GPS driving to work. It might be the job that you have that has expectations of you. It might even be your own ambition. Maybe you have an ambition to move, or you have an ambition to get married, or something like this. When it comes to learning and your mentality and your mental thoughts, it's not so easy to know what you want. It's not so easy to understand really what your mind is looking for. And so sometimes when it comes to learning English, you just see this big hole which needs to be filled, and you try to learn things. But let's say you're an engineer and you want to go to work in London, then why would you want to learn phrases like, I have a dog, I have two brothers? Nice place to start, I admit, but it doesn't really help you get to where you want to go. And some of you think, well, there's nothing else. It's not like I can just jump into an engineering book about learning English because there isn't one. There probably is, actually. But my point is this: without some kind of direction and without some kind of a push to where you're looking to go, you're not going to get there. And what I've noticed with many of you is that you're always kind of going around the same English material because you haven't yet found exactly what you want to do with it. Many of you know you want to work in the UK, you want to move, you want a better life, but you're not really using your own tools to get there. You're just kind of wandering around the basics. And you need a little bit of support and a different point of view to get there. If I want to see a plane leaving, then I'll go to the airport, not the train station, because the train isn't going to get me out of the country, although it might take me to another town. So you see, you need to be looking at this from a bit of a wider angle. Let's say that you are an engineer and you want to move to London. Why waste your time writing essays that teachers give you, which say, write an essay about your favorite holiday? Depending on your level, you probably could do that fairly easily, but it's not really contributing to where you want to go. Let me tell you something. When it comes to journeys and where you want to go, I understand that it's really hard, but you need to, first of all, at least pinpoint or share with your teacher where you're going. When you go to an English school, it's not important because the teacher doesn't care. They're probably not going to be talking to you very much. You're in a group, and the teacher will just give you a book or a piece of paper, and that's all you have to do. There's no personal involvement. But when you come to an online class, it's a little bit different because there's only you and the teacher. So if you tell the teacher exactly what your goal is, where you're hoping to get to, if you know, then he'll be able to recommend some good materials, and he'll also be able to bring vocabulary that's useful for you if you know what you want. And if you don't know what you want, tell him as much as you can because he can prepare lessons for you which will help with that. But there's many of you coming to lessons, and I can see that you just don't really know where you're going. I have the same trouble. Let me explain something to you. Last year, in 2024, I thought, oh, programming sounds good. Sounds like people are making some money in programming and designing. Why don't I start to learn something about it? So I have many students who are programmers and designers and IT people. So I started to ask them. I would say, well, about programming, what should I learn? Java, Python, C++, HTML? And they all said the same thing. They said, well, what do you want to do with it? What is it that you want to do with programming? And I said, oh, I don't know. Don't I just learn the alphabet and then decide? And they said, no, that's not how you approach programming or designing. You have to have something in mind that you're going to do with it, and that will be your motivation. Some of them told me, when we were kids, our days were filled with trying to program something on a computer. It was like a hobby, and we just naturally ended up in the industry. But it came from a passion. So when I come along asking academic questions like, is there an alphabet? Can I see, please, what it means? They were thinking, well, that's really not the right approach. What are you asking? What do you want to design? And let me help show you what you need to do that. Anyway, after I thought about it, I thought, well, I don't need to design anything. Actually, I was just curious about programming, but I don't really have anything in my mind. Maybe my website, I could begin looking after that myself. I would be quite passionate about that. So that brings up HTML and maybe a bit of Java. And that's something for me to explore. That is my starting point. I had a student, I think last week or the week before, and this person came onto the system and they said, teach me English. And I said, okay, well, where do we start? Why are you learning, first of all? Just want to learn. Don't know. Teach me something. Give me new words. And I said, yeah, but new words, just because they're new words, it's not going to help you very much. What's your direction? Where are you headed? What do you want to know these new words for? Just give me anything. I don't care. And eventually I discovered that this person was receiving English classes on behalf of their employer. Their employer had sent them to me to have English lessons, but they didn't want to be there. In fact, they didn't even like their job very much. So, as I started to explore that with them, there was very much this attitude of, well, I'm not going to use it. So, I don't know why they bother. It's a benefit I want to have. Teach me English. I said, well, will you remember it? Well, probably not, but I don't care, was the response. Now, you can see there that that really isn't a good attitude for learning. Even the person's body language was very folded. They couldn't let go of that, you know. And eventually, I think they just went away to another teacher because they didn't really know what they wanted. Their starting point, their foundation for building wasn't secure. And that's how I was really when it came to programming. And that might be how you're feeling today. So, if you are interested in learning English, the first question you have to ask yourself is why? Where do you want to go with it? It doesn't have to be serious, it doesn't have to be a major career. Maybe you just want to talk to other people in another language. Maybe you have a relationship with someone or a friendship that you want to use the language. You know, it doesn't have to be a big, serious thing, but you do have to be clear on your expectations, or you're not going to get that gift that you want. Just like New Year, you know, when someone gives you that phone when you wanted a book, or when someone buys you a book about something that you really have no interest in, or worse still, maybe someone doesn't get you anything because they don't really know what you're looking for. Anyway, these are just a few ideas for you to think about. As a new year comes in, it's really important to spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes with a bit of paper and write down exactly why you want to learn. You can use words like moving, new job, but be specific. New job in what? And tell your teacher, share with him. Remember, teachers, we speak to a lot of people on a lot of very different subjects. We know a lot of people as well, and we tend to hear the same things from the same people with the same mindsets. But if you can be very specific, you might be surprised how a teacher can help you. Hmm. And it'll also help you to make decisions because you don't know if you'll have to do exams in the future. You don't know what the immigration policy will be like of your new company or country. So there's all kinds of things to think about. And for you, these kind of things are very important, but they're only important once you know what you want. So I would say take 10, 15 minutes, write down your expectations of learning English, and then ask your teacher, how am I going to get there? Or how can you support me with these things? Really important, really important. Right, that's it from me. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Let's catch up again soon. And if you are celebrating New Year at this time, a very happy New Year to you. Bye.